Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Kesubos Pehei. We are on Pedal Damid Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Says the Gemara, Yemar Bar Choshu, that was his name. Hava Masik Beizuzi Bahu Gafar. He had a monetary claim against a certain person who owed him money. Shachiv, that fellow passes away. Vishavik Arba, and leaves behind a boat. Amar Lishluchei. So Yemar Bar Choshu, the creditor, the Baal Chayiv, turns to a shaliach. He says, look, can you do me a favor and get that boat for me? Zil Tafsa Nihali, please grab a hold of that boat on my behalf. So he did tfisa on something which is non-real estate, tfisa b'metaltalin. So taking possession of metaltalin after a person's passing, well, that's subject to machlekes in yesterday's daf. According to Rabbi Tarfon, it works. According to Rabbi Kiva, it doesn't work. If it was taken after the person's death. So Yemar decided to go ahead and do tefisa. Problem is, instead of personally going, he had somebody do it on his behalf, who followed his instructions. Azal, this fellow went ahead, tafsa, took hold of the yacht. Pogu be'Rav Papa, v'Rav Huna b'Rav Yeshua. These two Amoraim met this fellow who was now leading the ship through the middle of the river. Amrulay, they tell him, there's a problem. Look what you're doing. Taifes l'Baal Chayiv. Sure, you're taking possession on behalf of Yemar Bar Choshu, who is a Baal Chayiv, who perhaps is deserving of this item to offset that loan, but you cannot do it on his behalf. Because look, by doing it for him, you're actually working to the detriment of other creditors who perhaps want access to the same assets. You have no right to pick sides, to favor this Baal Chayiv over others. You are not the creditor. You are not the Baal Chayiv. You're coming to the assistance of a Baal Chayiv to the detriment of the other Baal Chayivs who also want to collect on their loans, and you have no right to do that. If one grabs an item on behalf of a Baal Chayiv, when there are other individuals who also have a claim against this person, who also want to collect on their debts, you can't pick one over the other. You have no right to do that. And Taisus points out, even if you made a shliach, it doesn't work. Such as in this case. When Yemar sent this fellow to do it on his behalf, you can't do that. Some of Farshim learn it's like an avera. You're asking him to do something inappropriate, to grab something for you when it's to the detriment of other people. So you have to let go. Tafsuha inhu. So they, who also had a loan against this departed fellow, they went ahead and grabbed a hold of that boat from this fellow to offset their loan, because they had a personal claim. It wasn't a shliach. They had a personal right to collect on their loan. So each one had his own loan, and they both grabbed a hold of that boat for repayment. What did they do? How did they acquire the boat? What type of kinyan did they perform? Rav Papa mimlach meluchi. Rav Papa moved the oars around. So he tried that as a kinyan. Mefarshim learn it's kinyan chazaka, to row the oars. Rav Huna b'Rav Yeshua mam tachla ba'ashla. He led the boat ba'ashla with a rope. So one is doing the oars as per kinyan chazaka, an expression of ownership. One is pulling the boat as an expression of meshicha. 2 types of kinyanim. Question is, which one is superior? Which one of these Amoraim actually acquired the boat to offset his loan? Mar Amar Ano Kanina Lolukula. One of these Amoraim maintained that he acquired the boat. His kinyan is the one that's effective. Umar Amar Ano Kanina Lolukula. The other Amora claimed the opposite. Well, my kinyan is superior to yours, and I acquired the boat. In any case, the story continues. Paga b'hu Rav Pinchas bar Ami. Rav Pinchas meets them while they're engaged in acquiring the boat, which in fact is metaltalin. But since they are taking possession, they are doing tefisa, and they maintain that it works. So Rav Pinchas bar Ami meets them and he says, "What do you mean?" He tells them, Rav Shmuel Damri Tavayu, we learned yesterday that according to both Rav and Shmuel, the only way to do tefisa on metaltalin of Yisaymin is if it's not yet in their possession. V'hu provided shetzvurin umunachen b'shesarabim. It's piled up, it's stationed in the middle of the street, not a private area, which can relate to the owners. It's sitting sitting in the street. Now you can go and grab it. But otherwise, if it's in a more private area, it is considered in possession of the Yisayimim, in which case you can't claim metaltalin from them. And he figured this boat had been sitting at the side of the river, which is like an alleyway, like a simta discussed yesterday, which affords some privacy, which is designated for personal use, in which case it's as though the Yisayimim are in possession of this boat. So you can't take it any longer. Amru, so they responded to him, no. Ananami, we too, mecharifusa, the nahara tafisna, we're grabbing it from the middle of the river, where there are other boats, which is like a Rishis Harabim, in which case we're not taking it from the owners, we're taking it from, mid-sea, in which case tafisa would work. Oh, so look, I made the Rabbah. Then they approached Rabbah, who found out about the whole episode. Amar Lahu, he tells them, what are you doing? Grabbing boats from Yisayimim. Kaki means like ducks, chivri, white ducks, because of their older age. The Gili Nashas, Rekivega, cites a Gemara in Brachas, Dafnan Zayin. When one sees a duck in a dream, he should anticipate wisdom. So a duck is somehow related to wisdom. So sort of a compliment. Kaki chivri mishalchi glimi de inshi. You are removing people's clothing, meaning, what right do you have to repossess this fellow's boat? Hachi amar of Nachman, v'hu mechayim. You can't grab, you can't take possession of metaltalin that belonged to Yisayimim after their father's death, unless you took possession during his lifetime. So basically, Rav Nachman is following that shita. Shita's Rabbi Akiva, who doesn't allow tfisa from Yisayimim. Go give it back to him. Continues the Gemara. Avimi, who was the son of Brei de Rabbi Avo, the son of Rabbi Avo, the fellows in the town of Chuzai had a financial claim on him. He owed them money. Shadrinu, so Avimi took the funds and he sent it to his creditors, Biyad Chama, through the person called Chama, who was the grandson of Rabbi Avo. Brei de Rabbi, the son of Rabbi, Bar, who was the son of Avo. So basically, Chama was a nephew of Avimi. Right? Father was Avo, he had a son Avimi, who owed the money, who sent it with Chama, who was the grandson of Avo, of Rabbi Avo. So it was his nephew. So Chama went ahead and repaid the loan. Amar Lahu, he tells the creditors, what about the document? Please give me back the document. So they pulled a fast one on him. Sitroy means mitzad achar. Oh, this money is coming to us from a different loan, from a different direction. He owes us 2 loans. Thank you for repaying the first loan. Well, you want that loan document back? Pay up that loan as well. There's another loan on top of that, which has now been repaid. Thank you. So they refused to return the document. Also, Lakamed Rabbi Avo. So Chama went back to his grandfather and told him the story. Look, they took the money, but they didn't give me a receipt. Amar Lehi asks him, Isnach Sahadi, perhaps do you have witnesses who observed that repayment, that Parisinu, who would come and testify that you paid them back? Amar Lehi, he says, sorry, no, I don't have Adam. Amar Lehi, so his grandfather tells him, too bad. Look, Migu, since the Yichayil Lima, they could say, this thing never happened, we never received any payment. You can't disprove them, you don't have Adam. So they could also claim that this money was meant as repayment for a different loan that was owed to them. That's called a migul. Because had they wanted to lie, they could have lied better. It never happened. We never got any money. The fact that they are acknowledging, yes, we got, but it was for repayment of another loan, you have to take it as fact. You have to believe them. You have no choice. So bottom line is, the sender, Avimi, now lost his money. Of course, he denied that he owed them, an additional loan. So now he lost all his money. In order to retrieve that shtar, he'll have to repay again. The question is, le'inyan shlimi shliach mai. So the shliach sort of caused this loss, right? Does he have to go and compensate his sender? What is the halacha? Amrav Ashi. Chazinan, we take a look. We see. I amrle shkoil shtara v'hav zuzi. It all depends on what type of instructions he was given. If he told him, look, when you arrive at Chuzoi, make sure to take the document and then v'hav zuzi and pay the money. Evidently, he didn't follow instructions. He neglected the instructions. Mishalim. Now he has to repay the sender. It's all his fault. Rashi says it's a pshia. It's an outright neglect. But if he instructed him otherwise, if he reversed the order, he told him havzuzi, pay them back the loan, v'shkol shtora, and take the document. He didn't indicate that there's any reason to take the document first. These people are not trustworthy. Just pay them and take the shtar. In this case, he didn't have to be so vigilant, and he's not responsible for this result. Le mishalim, he doesn't have to pay. Velohi says the Gemara, it's incorrect. Either way, he has to pay. Benkach or benkach, whether he said it this way or that way, mishalim, he has to repay the sender. The Amalei who tells him, look, you didn't do my job. When I appointed you a shliach, I wanted you to help me out, not to mess me up. The fact that you weren't careful in how you dealt with my affairs makes you fully responsible. Now Taisus points out this is only applicable when he actually made reference to the shtar. Get the shtar back. Well, let's say he wouldn't have mentioned shtar at all. Could you just repay my loan? In that case, he's not responsible, because he could say, you didn't make any mention of the receipt. Perhaps you trusted them. How would I know otherwise? But it's only because when he mentioned shtar, well, he's pretty much indicating that these people are not to be trusted. Make sure to get the shtar back. Well, obviously, do it in a way that you ensure that the shtar returns to me, which he didn't do in this case, and he's responsible. Hayita said there was a story about a woman. So a fellow deposited in her possession miluga de shtori, a satchel full of loan documents. So Reuven had a bunch of shtoris that people owed him money. He deposited them for safekeeping with this woman. It so happens to be that Reuven owed this woman money as well, and he passed away. Also Yershim katavi laminei, katavi lehu mina. So the children of this departed Reuven come to the Isha. Can we have back our father's shtaris? And she's saying, look, your father owed me money, and I'm actually now in possession of his metaltalin. I'm going to hold this as a collateral to blackmail you, to make sure you pay me back that loan that your father owed me. I did tfisa of metaltalin. She tells them, Mechaim tafisnlu. I'm not grabbing it now. I was already in possession of these documents from way back during your father's lifetime. I was tefis mechaim, which even according to Rabbi Kiva works. So who's right? Asoy lekameder Rav Nachman. So she approached Rav Nachman. Amala, he asks her the following question. I want to know, is lechsadi, perhaps do you have any proof, do you have edim, that what? The tav a minech mechayim, that the father, the owner of those documents, actually approached you during his lifetime to retrieve those documents, and at that point you refuse to return it to him, indicating that you're now taking possession as collateral for the loan that he owes you. Did that ever happen? She tells him, no, actually not. I don't have edim. Perhaps she meant it never happened. Im Kain, if so, he says, you have no rights. Tfisa de la'achar misa. The fact that you're in possession of these documents now, it's after his death. Utfisa de la'achar misa v'lo klumi, it's worthless. In accordance with Shittas Rabbi Akiva, you can't do tfisa la'achar misa. Now the question is, why is this called tfisa la'achar misa? She was holding these things beforehand. The answer is very simple. Rashi explains. Let's go to Rashi. About 20, 25 lines from the top, beginning with the words Have tfisa la'achar misa. Listen to Rashi. Shekol zman shehaya chai, hayu pikadon biyadich. You see, during his lifetime, this woman was holding onto the documents on behalf of him. You know, a shomer, a person who is in possession of a deposit, is doing a service, is holding it for the depositor. It's as though his hand is representing the depositor's hand. It's as though the documents are sitting by Reuven, the depositor. That's not called tfisa. I'm not holding it for myself. I'm holding it for him. The idea of tfisa machaim means like this. The Baal Chayv sees, oh, this fellow is about to die. And it grabs a hold of metalton to be applied for repayment of that loan. We're not speaking that those metalton was already put in my hands as a pikadon. Then it's a pikadon, it's not tfisa. It's the fundamental difference between tfisa and pikadon. Pikadon means I'm holding it for him. That's not called tfisa. But if he came over to me during his lifetime, give it back to me, please. Let me have it back. No, N-O. Why not? It's mine. Well, I know it's yours, but I want to hold on to it to make sure I get paid back the money you owe me. That's called a tfisa. Now I'm starting fresh. I'm grabbing hold of it for my sake. That's called tfisa. In which case, when he passes away, I'm in possession of these items as a tfisa. And I'm not taking it from the Yisraelim. I already have it. You don't collect metalton from Yisraelim. I'm not collecting from them. I already have it for myself. Continues the Gemara. There's another story with a woman. The Chai v'Shavua Beidina de Rava. Apparently somebody had a claim against her, which she denied, in which case the Chachamim imposed a Shavua on her. She has to swear to substantiate her claim. Amr le Bas Rav Chizda. Rava was married to Rav Chizda's daughter. So Bas Rav Chizda, meaning Rava's wife, tells him quietly, listen, Yodana bodu chashuda ashvua. I know this woman all too well. Oh, you can't trust her with a shvua. She's suspect of swearing falsely. So what do we do in this case? There's a standard procedure. Afcha Rava l'shvua asher kenegdas. Rava flipped the shvua, transferred it to the opponent. So instead of the Isha swearing to absolve herself, to be paid to herself, the opponent will make a shvua and collect the funds. That's the standard procedure in the case of a chashut. Now there's another story. Zimnin, at a different time, Havuyasvi Kamei. So Rava was, the Bezdin, and who was sitting before him? Rav Papa and Rav Ada Bar Masna. Aisu Hahu Shtar Gabei. So a certain shtar arrives one day, a loan document. Amali Rav Papa turns to his Rebbe Rava. You should know, it's no good. There's something wrong. Yadana Bei de Shtara Priyahu. I know for a fact that this loan document has already been paid up. Don't use it. Don't collect on it. Amalei Rava asks him, well, can you prove this? Ika inish achrina bahdi demar. Is there anybody else with you who will testify about this shtar with you? Amalei, he says, no. Amalei, so Rava tells him, afagav de ikamar, even though you're standing here and testifying, that's not enough. Eid echad lav klumu. We all know that one aid doesn't really do the trick. Amalei Rav Ada Bar Masna. So Rav Papa's colleague, Rav Ada, turns to the Rebbe Rava. You're not going to believe our friend, Rav Papa? Well, Rav Papa, you're not considering Rav Papa and Rav Papa's word and his trustworthiness like your wife? Kibas Rav Chizda, you trusted when it came to the story of the Shvua. And here Rav Papa's telling you, look, I know the shtar is paid up by... You're not going to believe him? Answers the Gemara, a very interesting point. So Rava responded, Amar le Bas Rav Chizda Kimli B'Gavo. My own wife, I know firsthand that she will never lie. I've already tested her over and over again. I know every word she says is emes v'yatziv. In which case, when she tells me something, I take it as fact. Mar lekim libgave, as opposed to Rav Papa, as important and prominent and chashav as he is, but I've never really tested him outright in matters of trustworthiness and emes. In which case, sure, I'll believe it, but I can't say kimli. It's absolute. It's like reality. Like I feel it. I don't get to that point when it comes to Rav Papa, and therefore I have no basis for putting the shtar into question. So it's interesting that he would take his wife's word and not Rav Papa. Rav Moshe Feinstein speaks about it. Igros Moshe, he says this point that it's not a matter of who do I trust more. You can trust somebody, but it's still not fact, right? But when it comes to Bas Rav Chizda, who he tested, he had personal experience with her. Now, when she says something, it's just I feel it. It's me, and that's the difference. Amar Rav Papa. So Rav Papa tells us Hashta the Amar Rabbana. Now that we know this concept that Kimli begave milsahi, this idea of Kimli begave, I know for a fact, I know with certainty, 100%, that it matters. It has weight, even in absence of any real concrete, proof in the matter. Just Kimli alone is strong enough to sway matters. Kimli begave is milsahi, it's reckoned. So let's say Kigoin, Abba Mari. Abba Mari was the name of Rav Papa, Bri, my son. The Kimli begave, by him it's Kimli. What he says by me is absolutely fact. Right? So if he tells me that this shtar, he's talking theoretically. If he would testify against the shtar, Karana, shtar apumei, I would tear up a shtar based on his words. Karana salkataitach, you can tear up a shtar? So you're bringing, you're bringing about a loss to its owner. You can't do that. It's like, bringing him a loss. You need Adam for that. You can't just have Kimli. Ella, rather, what he meant is like this. It's going to put it in limbo. Maran ashtar apume. I will put a shtar in question based on his testimony. Now the question is, if you're putting in question lashon of reyes, right? You just put it in question. I can't really rely on the shtar. Then, isn't it tantamount to destroying the shtar? So the Rishonim asks this kasha, and the Rosh says, what he meant is, I can't act upon it. But if he goes to a different bezdin, sure, he can use it to collect. There's halacha in Masechah Sanhedrin called din meruma. Let's say bezdin have edim, and they have, things, but something doesn't add up. It's something fishy. It's called din meruma. There's some question here in terms of what's going on. We learn from a pasuk, tzedek tirdeif, that they cannot act upon that. They can't proceed. They just, relieve themselves of their duties. They walk away. They don't, conclude. Similar concept here. Look, if somebody tells me this shtar is no good and I trust this person wholeheartedly, I can't act upon it. But it's not to say the shtar is possible. You can use it in a different bezdin who don't have this, this inkling. Tosfos learns differently. But Ranal shtar pumi means that we need extra proof to substantiate the shtar. For instance, Tosfos says, we'll impose a shvuah on the Baal shtar, and only that will enable him to act, to collect with the shtar. Hayetisa, another story with a woman, the chayva shvuah be'edina d'Rav Bevai barabai. So once again, she became chayav a shvuah. Right, there was a claim against her, which she denied, and a shvuah was needed. Amar lehu ahu baldin. So the opponent tells the bezdin, look, I want to continue the legal procedure in her hometown. Teisi, let her come v'tishtaba b'masa. She'll swear in her own hometown, amongst friends and family. Efshar, perhaps there's a chance the michsafa, she'll be embarrassed to swear falsely. Umaydi, and she'll admit. Let's go over there. So the Isha said, okay, on one condition. Amr lahu, she turns to them. Kisfully, I want you to compose a document. Zach vasa, which will give me, ezechus. Basically, it's saying that the Isha, her name is Rachel, Isha swore and she won the case. Dechi mishtabana yavili. This way, as soon as I swear, you'll give me that document. Right? Taisus learns. They write it up and they give it to a third party for safekeeping. So you have a document which says Rachel made a shvua. She won the case. Signed. We'll hold on to it in the meantime until she actually makes the shvua. She wants to, get it over with. Let's compose the document now. We'll travel there. I'll make the shvua. A minute later, I'll have the document. I'll leave the court. Amalu Rabbi Barabai. So Rabbi says, fine. Kisfula, big deal. Write it now. Hold on to it, and you give it to her later. Amar Papi, he wasn't impressed. Mishum da Sisu Mimaloy, because you come from a family which are cut off. He came from Abaye, who was from the Bnei Eli, who had a curse imposed on them that they don't live out their life long years. So just because you hail from that family, Amrisu Mili Mulyosi, you say cut off halachas, unsubstantiated, unsourced halachas. You can't do this. It's dishonest. Ha'amar Rava tells us Hayashrata Dedaini. This means a handpick, a certification, which the Bezdin will stamp onto a shtar or write it separately as a certification, basically saying we investigated, we looked into the legitimacy of these signatures in the shtar, and we're here to confirm and to certify it. So this Ashrata, Rashi says Ashrata is Lashon Choizik, like Yasher Kechacha, which is actually a Gemara in Yivamis. Yasher Kechacha. Your koyach, your spirits, your koyach should be strengthened and reinforced. So Ashrata means a reinforcement issued by the Dayani, by the judges. The Michtava, even if it was composed and written Mikame before, the Nichvu, Sahadi, the Edom will go and show and certify Achasimos Yodayu, their signatures. Psula, you cannot use that Ashrata. So you can't compose it now and have it, fill in the blanks later. Why? Alma Mechsika Shukr, it looks like falsehood. If you write it ahead of time. Hachnami as well, you're going to write the shtar, the Isha made a shvua before the fact. Mechsika Shukr, it appears like falsehood. You shouldn't do it. But the Gemara concludes, there's no concern. But how do I know? With the Rav Nachman. The Rav Nachman. Oymer Hayi Rameh. Rameh used to say, Afilu Matzoy Be'ashba. A fellow's walking by a trash bin, notices a get. He says, wow, perfect name, just for me. He took out the get, v'chasmai v'nosan law, had it signed and gave it to the Isha. Kasher, it works, because according to Rameir, the actual writing of the text of the get does not have to be with the intent that this Ish and this Isha will use it. You don't need lishma by the ksiva, only by the signatures, and that was done, lishma. He actually signed it with himself in mind. Kasher, you can use it. Even though the get was written generically for somebody else, or it wasn't done. It wasn't directed at this specific incident. There's no concern. Even the Rabban who disagree and don't allow it, that's only El Begite Nashim. It's only by a get because it has to be written. Lishma. With this divorce in mind. Aval b'shar shtaris moitule. When it comes to an ordinary shtar like a shtar choy, big deal. Who cares why it was written, when it was written? If it works, it makes sense, it matches, use it. Even though it was written before the fact. Without this, event in mind. Damar v'asi, Amar Rabbi Yechnan. Listen to this example. Shtar shalavavai, upari. There was a shtar, which Shimon used to borrow from Reuven. Upari, and he already paid it up. Can he borrow again based on the same shtar, save a few pennies, use it, recycle the same shtar? Yes, really, he could do it. But you can't re-borrow with it. This is a technical problem. You see, when the Edom sign is shtar chayiv, what they are doing is formalizing it. And that causes, the news to spread, the word to get out, and the potential buyers will beware and be careful to keep away from the borrower's properties, lest they fall into a trap and have to give up the property when the Baal Chayv comes to claim his loan. Right? So once you have the shtar paid up, it's sort of cancelled. You can't just reuse the same shtar again. Nobody will find out that there was another loan with the same shtar. We have no Edom here, there's no tumult, there's no news going out, and therefore he can't use the shtar again to collect from karka shekvar nimchal shibud, because the shibud, his claim on the person's land, has already been had expired. It's been nimchal means forgiven, but here it means it's been done with already. Once the loan has been repaid. So it's a side technical point when it comes to shibud, but in terms of the halacha of the shtar itself, there seems to be no issue in terms of integrity and honesty. Reusing the same shtar, which was meant for a different loan. The concern is because of the shibud. But in terms of appearing like falsehood, there's no concern. See, the point is, it's all about the result, the effect. It's not about what you write when you write it. It's about misleading. It's about falsehood. And there's no issue of falsehood. Not in the case of reusing a shtar. Everybody's fully fine using the shtar again. In terms of the get. In terms of the ashrata d'daini. As long as it's actually only issued later, you can write it before. And likewise, in our case with the Isha, who demanded a shtar to her benefit, you can write it now, provided you don't actually give it to her until the appropriate time. However, there was a story about a fellow, the Afkid, who deposited seven marganisa, pearls or diamonds, the Tsairi B'Sadina, which were wrapped up in a cloth. Where did he deposit it? Bei Rabbi Miyashia bar Breda Rav Shimon Levi, with this fellow. Shachav Rabbi Miyashia passed away. V'lo pakid, and he failed to instruct his family. Rashi says he died suddenly. Also, look at Rabbi Ami. So they approached Rabbi Ami. This fellow wanted his diamonds back. Amar lei, Rabbi Ami ruled to his benefit. Chada, number one. So he had two reasons. Number one, the Adana baby Rabbi Miyashia bar Breda Rav Shimon Levi. I know for a fact that this fellow, who is now in possession, or his kids were in possession, this fellow, I know he's not a wealthy man. He wasn't known as a wealthy man who would be purchasing these diamonds. Apparently it's not really his. But another reason, Hakayav Simona. Fact is, the depositor is claiming, look, this is mine, I'm showing you. It's 7 wrapped in a cloth, a very unique and specific simon, which indicates that it's his. Taisus explains, you need 2 reasons. Loy Ahmed would indicate that it's not really Rav Miyashia's, because it's not appropriate to his, socioeconomic standing. Number 2, the simon indicates that it's yours. Maybe it's not Rav Miyashia's, maybe it's somebody else. So the simon proves ownership. But v'lei amar, and this is only said, ela de lei ragil the ayil v'nafek lahasam. This claimer was not a frequent in and out guest in this home. Aval ragil the ayil v'nafek lahasam. But let's say he was, a frequent guest in that home. Giving a simon of 7 in a wrapped thing doesn't say much. Ema ine sha'achrina afkit. Perhaps somebody else deposited it there, and he happened to notice it. V'iu mechsechaza. He happened to notice it. Now he's claiming that it's his. Another story. We're going to have 3 stories in total to show this is a clear-cut accepted halacha. However, another fellow, the Afkid Kasa the Kaspa, he deposited a silver goblet, Beichasa, with a fellow called Chasa. Shachav Chasa passed away, V'lei pocketed, failed to instruct. Also, Commander Rav Nachman, they came to Rav Nachman. This fellow claimed that it's his. The kid said, look, I don't know. And maybe it's our father's. Maybe he found it. And it's really his. Amar Lahu, so Rav Nachman said the same thing. Yadana be b'chasa d'lei amid. I know for a fact Chasa was not expected to afford this type of material. V'oid, number 2, Koyav Simona. This fellow is providing a simon to indicate the ownership. D'lei Amar, this is only true. Elo d'lei ragel the ayil v'nafek lahasim. This fellow is not in and out of this house. Avo ragel the ayil v'nafek lahasim. But let's say he's a frequent guest. Amar, there's always concern. Inish achrina afkid. Perhaps somebody else deposited it there, and he happened to notice it. Now he's claiming that it's his. Iu mechsachazi, and he happened to notice it. There's another fellow who deposited a silk garment, Bei Rav Dimi, with a fellow called Rav Dimi, who was Achvad Rav Safra, brother of Safra, who passed away. Shach Rav Dimi, V'lei Pocket, failed to instruct. Also, Rav Abba, they approached Rav Abba. Amar Lahu, he gave them the same 2 reasons to indicate that it belongs to the claimer. Chada, number 1, the Adana, Bei Rav Dimi, I know for a fact Rav Dimi was not estimated to have owned this type of thing. V'oid, number 2, Koyav Simona, isn't this fellow giving a simon which indicates that it's his? V'lei Amaran, this is only to be relied upon. Elo d'lei rogel, the ayil v'nafek lahasam. If he's not a frequent guest at this home. Avol rogel, the ayil v'nafek lahasam. But if he's a visitor, Amab, there's a concern that ina shachrina afkid, somebody else gave it. V'iu mechsachaz, and he happened to notice it, and he's claiming it as his. How would the Amarlu? So this fellow before his passing gave the following instructions. Nachasai, my assets should go to this fellow called Tuvia. Nachasai l'Tuvia. Without a last name. You have no idea who this fellow is. Shachiv, in fact, this fellow passes away. And guess who shows up? Tuvia. Also Tuvia. Rabbi Yehuda, give it to him. Haribot Tuvia, look. He asked for Tuvia. Tuvia showed up. Apparently this is the right Tuvia. No Farshim explained. The fact that he showed up right away indicates that he thought that, he meant him. Otherwise, he wouldn't just risk his reputation by coming and saying, I'm the Tuvia, if he has no connection to this fellow. The fact that he showed up is a true indication that, in fact, this fellow felt close, and it's reasonable to assume that, in fact, he's the fellow that the departed person had in mind. But let's say Omar Tuvia. The mace mentioned Tuvia, and guess who shows up? Also Rav Tuvia, a fellow by the name of Rav Tuvia surfaces. Is that the same thing? Well, no. L'Tuvia Omar. He asked for Tuvia. L'Rav Tuvia L'Omar. He didn't ask for Rav Tuvia. But V'inish the Gispe. Well, let's say this fellow is, friendly with him. Sometimes, closeness breeds informality. Hagispe. Because of that closeness, perhaps instead of referring to him with his full title, Rav Tuvia, he dropped the Rav, and it makes sense that it's the same person. What about Asur Shnei Tuvia? Now we're in trouble. Two people show up with the name Tuvia. Who do you give it to? Well, it depends. If one is a shachin, just a neighbor, and the second one is a Talmud Chacham, Talmud Chacham Kodim, you assume that he had the Talmud Chacham in mind. Rashi says, presumably a person, before death, gets very serious and righteous, and the biggest schus is to give and support a Talmud Chacham. Certainly he had the Talmud Chacham in mind. The same if it's a choice between a Karev and a Talmud Chacham, a relative or a Talmud Chacham. Talmud Chacham takes priority, he's Karev. Here comes an interesting question. Shachin v'Karev mai. Let's say two fellows with the name Tuvia show up, one of them a neighbor down the block, the other one a relative. Which one did he have in mind? Tashma, we have a pasuk in Mishlei. Toiv, Shachin Karev ma'ach rachek. You have more benefit from a close relative, a close neighbor, than a distant brother. So, a neighbor close by certainly gets priority. Shneim kroivim or shneim shchenim or shneim chacham. Let's say they're both of equal stature, both have the same title, relatives or neighbors or chachamim. Now the dayan has to make his decision. Shuda the daini. Shuda literally means to toss, to throw. Rashi says dayan sits down and evaluates and investigates this matter. Chances are he would like this one over that one. That person's a better person, a closer person. They have to come to some sort of conclusion based on their judgment. Tosfos disagrees. He says Shuda means it's just given to the dayan's discretion. Whatever he chooses, he can do. No, so Tosfos says he'll be paid off. Somebody will give him, some bribe. He says, well, no dayan accepts bribes. Otherwise, he's not a dayan. We're speaking about a legitimate dayan. It's up to him. He can decide. Amalei Rava Lebrei. He told the son of the Rav Chia bar Avin, come, Eimelech, I'll tell you, Milsa Mal Yusuf, something good, the Hava Amar Avuch that your father used to say. Hod Amar Shmuel. Listen to this interesting halacha from Shmuel. You could actually sell a shtar chayv. Let's say Shimon owes Reuven money. Reuven could take that shtar and sell it to Levi. And now Levi can claim Shimon's the loan from Shimon. Tosfos says a tzad here that it's even in HaTorah. There's such a thing as selling a shtar. So a moicher shtar chayv l'chaver. Reuven sells his shtar to Levi. V'chazor machle, and Reuven turns around and forgives the loan. It works. Machel. It's done. Vafilu yerish moichel. Even if Reuven the seller passes away, and Reuven has a son, that yerish is considered the primary claimant. He is the Baal Dover. He is the main player here. So even though he sold the shtar, the fact is he was the one who lent the money. He has the ability to forgive that loan. Isn't that phenomenal? He can sell it. The other person can claim it. But the fact is the seller, who's the actual Baal Chayv who lent that money, he is the Baal Dover. He is the one that generated the chayv. He's still connected to it, and he can just forgive it. But There's one exception. Moide Shmuel, even Shmuel would agree in the following case. Machnesa shtar chayv lebala. A woman marries and brings along a shtar chayv, indicating that somebody owes her money. So now that shtar chayv is sort of incorporated into the marriage arrangements, like a nichsei melug, a nichsei barzel, and the husband sort of has a schus on that. So now she can't give up that chayv, because he's an equal partner. The chazra machlosa, she turns around and gives up the loan. She'ein machal, it's totally unaffected, because the husband's hand, so to speak, his rights, his ownership in that loan, kiyada is equal to hers, in which case she can't just unilaterally give up that chayv. Okay, so what did we learn today? We started with the story with the boat. So there was a Baal Chayv who asked his friend to grab a hold of the boat, back and forth. Maskon of the Gemara is, Rava wasn't really happy. He said, look, not supposed to do tfisa lachar misa. We hold like a rekiva. These are Yisayimim. This is Matatlan. We have no business grabbing their possessions. We had the shliach who was sent to repay the loan, failed to bring back his shtar. He's held responsible. He didn't do his job properly. An Isha who says, look, I'm holding the shtar, Michayim, doesn't work unless she refused to return it during his lifetime, in which case it became a personal holding. She's doing it for herself. That's called tfisa. But just holding it, watching it for that person, that's not called tfisa. It's the opposite. You're holding it for him, not for yourself. We learned about the concept of kimli. A dayan can be so assured about something to the point that he just has to back off, even without an absolute concrete proof. The conclusion of the Gemara was you can write a document, a shtar, a get, etc., even before the fact, as long as it's not going to be abused or misused. It's not called mechzik or shikra. We had the story of the fellow who got back his items from the Yisayimim based on two reasons. It was assumed that the departed person was not really the rightful owner. Number two, we had a simon to prove that it's his. We had the whole story about giving away the nechasim to Tuvi and all the different variations of that halacha. A moicher shtar chayv can be moichel, but not if the Isha is now married because her husband has an equal ownership on that shtar, in which case she can't just turn around and be moichelet. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.